Welcome back to Divine Mercy Radio. You're listening to 101.7 KJDM Lindsborg and Salina, 105.7 KMDG Hayes, 88.1 KRTT Great Bend, 88.1 KVDM Hayes, and 89.1 KGOH Colby. You're listening to our Fall Care-a-thon, Joy of the Gospel. I want to first thank Hickok Steakhouse for providing us with lunch. I had one of the big old burger and fries, and let's just hope that I don't fall asleep while I'm in here. It was fantastic. It was so delicious. We really appreciate that they take care of us, and I would ask that you support them. They have hand-cut steaks, salmon fillets, made from scratch, soups and rolls. And by the way, if you haven't had their rolls and cinnamon butter, those things are so delicious. And probably the best part is you don't have to count it as dessert because it's a roll. And then you can have your dessert on top of it. But they also have an extensive wine list, banquet seating for 40, a large menu, all in a unique dining experience in a Western atmosphere. The owners there are Greg Whitehair and Damon Hoare, and then Oscar Runyon is also an owner and the manager. And so we thank them so very much for taking care of us, for feeding us so amazingly. And we ask that you guys would support them also. We're getting ready here in a little bit to talk with Andrew Niewald, and he's going to be talking about the 9th star in the crown of Our Lady Queen of Peace. Before we do that, I want to update everybody on our matching funds. So we have matching funds left of $7,485. Let's get those used up before the 4 o'clock break if we can. I know we got some more big donors out there, and I want those donors to call in. And I also want the other donors, no matter what it is that you're giving, if you're a $5, $25 a month donor, those are fantastic because all of those add up then to help us to keep the lights on, microphones working, and everything going as it should. So join with us. Help us to get the joy of the gospel out there. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. As we have on-air guests, you can call 785-621-5061 and then get a question, and we'll try to have them answer that question while we're right here on the air. So thank you to everybody for the matching funds. Thank you to all of our donors. Let's please get them going. Let's keep them coming. 785-621-4110. That's the same number that you will call to answer the trivia question. So I'm going to give just 1 second here. Let's see. Andrew, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm going to do I'm going to go ahead and do a trivia question, and then we're going to get right to your interview. How's that work?
Yeah, sounds great.
Fantastic. All right. You are on the air, so don't say anything too dumb. All right, here we go. So for all of our listeners, call in. If you think that you know the answer to this and you get it correct, we'll put you in that drawing for a $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts here in Hayes. All right, that first trivia question for the 12 o'clock hour is, what does the word Theotokos mean? Is it A, God's wisdom, B, God bearer, C, God's might, or D, God all-powerful? What does the word Theotokos mean? God's wisdom, God bearer, God's might, or God all-powerful? 785-621-4110. All right. We have Andrew Niewald on the phone. Andrew is a Beloit, Kansas native. After graduating from St. John's High School in Beloit, he attended the University of Nebraska, St. Gregory the Great Seminary, and graduated with a business degree from Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio. He teaches Catholic apologetics and theology of the body at St. John's and serves as the president of Adoratio Foundation in Beloit. Adoratio's mission is to build Catholic thought, culture, and devotion. Amongst several of the concrete projects they are working on, perhaps one of the bigger ones is building a Eucharistic shrine here in the Salina Diocese. With that, Adoratio is partnering with Bishop Vinke and the Salina Diocese to launch a spiritual campaign in the diocese to increase Eucharistic adoration in all 86 parishes in the diocese. Adoratio's goal is to eventually assist all dioceses in the country in facilitating what they will be doing here in the Salina Diocese. Man, that is fantastic. So how are you doing today, Andrew?
Yeah, so great. Really great. Very thankful to be on today. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's so good to have you here. We talked about your foundation there, but this is actually the first time for me hearing about your foundation and probably a lot of our listeners. So can you tell us a little bit more about the formation of Adoratio Foundation?
Yeah, so I think the best way to, I guess, maybe in the start is with the name itself. Of course, adoratio was, of course, Latin for adoration, is really several years ago when the origins of our foundation started back in, as recently as 2019. We were talking to several donors that had familiarity with Beloit in general, and they just approached us and said, hey, look, hey, if we were to give you a little bit of seed money and that you could do something creative within the church, within the Salina Diocese and the church overall in the country, like what would you do? Like how could you get creative and make a real practical impact on the church? And so I immediately just went back to just like, well, gosh, the Eucharist is the source and summit of our faith. And about that same time, the Pew Research Institute had came out with a study that showed that, roughly 75% of Catholics, did not believe in the Eucharist. And my goodness, that just hits you like a freight train when you really sit on those statistics that 75% of Catholics don't believe in the Eucharist. That is the source and summit of our faith. And what I liked about that is it just kind of helped what your eye test kind of thought maybe, in your experiences of traveling around the country and around the diocese, and you're just like, golly, like if we believe what the church claims the Eucharist to be, like, it's like that line from C.S. Lewis, that Jesus is a liar, a lunatic, or he was right, in his divinity. It's like the Eucharist kind of puts that in the same sort of position. Either the Eucharist is true or it's idolatry, so I knew that if we wanted to do something creative, it had to do with the Eucharist. So that was kind of the beginning philosophy of why we formed the foundation.
Okay, so are you? Do you guys have perpetual adoration in Beloit as of right now?
We do. In fact, we ourselves. It took some time to convince people locally that we could make the jump. We had at that time, let's just say a year ago, we had 72 hours of weekly adoration, and so I can talk about this a little bit later about the stats, but we made a big jump from 72 hours every week to 168 hours in perpetual 24/7. So we just did that this last year.
Oh, fantastic. That is wonderful. I find that as a huge blessing here in Hayes, and just the way that it's grown over the years and the way that I've seen it grown here. And I agree with you. I think, every community needs it. I mean, it's not one of those things that you'll ever be like, well, darn, I wish we wouldn't have started that.
And that was part of this idea. And it was interesting, and just to show you or the listeners some data, and I'll just use Beloit as an example because that's what the most recent place that we've helped as our own community is like. Our adoration program started in, let's just say, in 2002, I believe, and it was 12 hours 1 day a week. Sorry, it was 3 hours 1 day a week, and 12 people did it. And over the course of time, it grew just little by little, one person by one person, mostly because everybody's just not familiar with this whole idea of taking an hour and making it a weekly commitment that you sit in front of our Lord and it forces you to pray, So over time, it just grew. And then it wasn't until we went through a formal campaign in this last year where we really said, like, hey, let's just think big and let's just try to go to 24/7. So we jumped up. It was over 131 first-time adorers that signed up in our program, 131. So we were pretty excited about it. And so we just said, if we can do this here, sure as heck, everybody else can do it in other places too.
Absolutely. So is that what your foundation then helps to do, is bring or at least start some sort of adoration within each parish community?
hmm So what our idea is that what we've experienced has taught us with regards to Eucharistic adoration programming, that's just not in Beloit or the Salina Diocese, but across the country, and in fact, across the world, is that most people's adoration programs look something like this. It's like, okay, depending on the size of my parish, maybe we do it one day a week for 12 hours. Maybe that's what a parish does. And maybe they've tried in the past to grow their program, and the attempts to growth look something like this. Father would say something at Mass. Hey, if you're interested in signing up, for adoration, parishioner Bob is going to be in the back to take your name. And then after church, nobody shows up, or maybe one person does. Or we just put a little advertisement in the bulletin, that says, hey, we'd like to grow our adoration program. Call the parish offices if you're interested. But nobody's necessarily, I should say not nobody, most people aren't accustomed to actually running a spiritual campaign. So that's what we want to do, is help facilitate individual parishes or dioceses to go through a 6-month spiritual campaign that focuses primarily on growing Eucharistic adoration on a local level.
Okay, so now I know that obviously, as you said, this is going to be kind of a tailor-made thing for each different parish or community. But is there, can you give me like a general format of what this may look like if somebody's getting a hold of your getting a hold of Adoratio? What would it maybe look like if they were saying, hey, we'd kind of like your help to do this?
So the first thing we would do, and I'll talk just on a bigger picture, if a diocese called us, because that's ultimately the most strategic place we would like to go. And that's what we're going to help the Salina Diocese do starting in 2025, is what we'd have the diocese go through is they would do what we call an adoration audit or an assessment, where you would just put all the data of the diocese on an Excel spreadsheet. Data such as, parish number A, in this town, like how many parishioners do they have? And how many adults are there? How many children? What's estimated weekly mass participation rate? How long have they had adoration? How many people participate in adoration? And you just compile data. And what you do through that is, after you've gone through every parish in the diocese, and for our diocese, it was 86 parishes, you just learn things, and you're able to let the priests and the adoration coordinators and the bishops just really sit on the information, because what a lot of parishes we're learning don't quite recognize is, what should we be? If I'm in a parish of 100 families, well, really, what are other parishes my size doing? Like, is 1 hour, one time a week enough? Or should I really think, is it really feasible that if there's 100 families in my parish, that I could do, 36 hours a week? Or can I go 24/7? Is it reasonable to go to 24/7? In Beloit here, we've got, let's just say, about 400 families in our parish. And we thought originally that, oh my goodness, 400 families, like, to go 24/7, that's 168 hours that we would have to cover. So we just said, hey, let's go for it and see if we can do it. And so we discovered in Beloit, with 400 families, that we fasted. There was 215 people that signed up. So it was like, gosh, if we can do this, other parishes that are substantially bigger than us can do the same thing. Or parishes that are smaller than us, maybe they don't want to tackle that big of an initiative. And so that's what our beginning step is to help parishes identify what's an appropriate level of goal for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, I think if somebody goes to their parish priest and says, hey, we've got 20 people ready to go, can we look at adoration for, X amount of hours? Yeah, I'm sure that the priest, especially in our diocese, is not going to be like, yeah, I'd rather not. I imagine in our diocese, you're going to get a pretty good response that if you come to a priest ready with the people saying, hey, this is what we desire, then you're probably going to find that the priest is going to go, okay, well, let's see what we can do. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Well, and what we found is probably on just a simplistic level is that the majority of the time when the priest hear the words "Let's go" adoration, what they really hear is, "Oh my goodness, that's an administrative nightmare."
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
calling people and finding substitutes, and really and candidly, the priest just kind of honestly almost hold it back because it just becomes what they perceive to be an administrative nightmare. And so that's kind of what our role is too, is to walk a priest through, because it's not that difficult really. And there's processes that a priest can put in place that really streamlines the process, and really it becomes a really well-oiled machine.
That is wonderful. We are on our Fall Care-a-thon, Joy of the Gospel. I'm going to look over here in case there are people that are watching online. You can find us online at Facebook, Rumble, or YouTube. And so thank you for all those who are watching online. Thank you to those who are listening to our different radio stations or on your smartphone, on your Alexa, wherever you're listening to. Thank you for tuning in. We're talking with Andrew Niewald about different things with his Adoratio Foundation. We're going to be getting into the 9th star in the crown of Our Lady, Queen of Peace. Before we get back to that, I want to reread our trivia question. So we did not get a winner to this yet. So I'm going to read this question. If you think you have the answer, call in to 785-621-4110. If you get it right, we'll put you in that drawing for that $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts, and that will be drawn right at about 6 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to read the question, and you call in, give us your answer. If you get it right, we'll put you in that drawing. Also, when you're calling in, if you would like to partner with us in using up some more of these matching funds, we have $7,485 left in matching funds. Let's use people's money for the good of the gospel. 785-621-4110 to give us your pledge. If you're listening, especially if you're someone who would be a new donor, please call with whatever you can. All right. Here is the trivia question one more time. What does the word Theotokos mean? Is it God's wisdom, God bearer, God's might, or God all-powerful? What does the word Theotokos mean? A, God's wisdom, B, God bearer, C, God's might, or D, God all-powerful. Let's get those phones ringing with your guesses and with your pledges. 785-621-4110. All right, Andrew, we're going to get back speaking with you then. We talked a little bit about your foundation and what it is that it is looking to do for others and to help others in our diocese. But also, what are some things that you guys are already doing within your foundation?
Yeah, so I guess just on a whole, some of our other work in the foundation deals just with our own local Catholic school system in Beloit and some other Catholic schools that we're helping. But yeah, so that's some of the other things that we're doing, and we're also, I guess I shared with you about running a diocesan spiritual campaign.
Yeah.
Starting in 2025. I mentioned that we are also working with a few other parishes in our infancy stages here, just around the country. So that's kind of exciting as well.
Fantastic. And so is it through your foundation then that that you guys are having this 9th star, this beautiful monstrance that we were actually shown at our Eucharistic conference here back in the summer? Is it through your foundation that's happening?
Yeah, so our work, when we started, we wanted to see if there was any other when we started our foundation, we wanted to see if there was any other entities worldwide that were kind of trying to tackle the opportunity of growing adoration. And we found one other, and their name is Comunità Regina della Pace.
I'm not going to try to say
Polish.
that.
Yeah. Comunita Regina della Pace. It's Polish for Our Lady Queen of Peace. And they were an organization that started in 2005 in Poland, just right outside of Warsaw. And honestly, we have learned that they were really in front of their time and they were definitely in front of us, because essentially they had the same basic idea, this organization, but they tied art into it. And so what they do, and I can give the website later, but what they have done is essentially they have some artists that create these oversized, if you will, oversized of what we're used to, monstrances that are, all the monstrances are Marian in their nature. And the purpose of that was because with the theological idea that Mary is the first monstrance, she was the first one who held, our blessed Lord in her. So she was the first monstrance. So they wanted all their pieces of art are Marian in nature, but they're eventually going to create 12 geographic sites around the world where they hope these sites become pilgrim destinations that inspire Eucharistic adoration altogether. So that's the simple summary of what they do, of these 12 stars on the crown of Mary is what they call them. 12 stars on the crown of Mary. But then they also, the second part of their mission involves what they call a star on the mantle of Our Lady. And that's where individual parishes participate in their mission of growing Eucharistic adoration, and also specifically and intentionally praying for peace within Eucharistic adoration. So, and it's that way that has motivated parishes already. And so far, in their kind of still beginning works, they've had over 80 parishes worldwide that have agreed to participate in this. And that may sound like a small number, but that's pretty substantial, of parishes that did not have adoration that now do. So there's two layers to that. And so these, coming back to the shrines, that's ultimately how we got involved with them, because we got in touch with them and basically just said, hey, look, we kind of are doing the same thing, have some of the same vision and mission that you have. So we began to align with them and get to know them a little bit. And then once they learned of our initiative here in the United States, they said, my goodness, it just paralleled their work. And so they became really attracted to the geographic nature of the Salina diocese. And that's ultimately, and I'm really giving you the overview of this, but why they selected the Salina diocese to put their shrine.
Fantastic. We're going to get right back to that. I want to break in to congratulate Shirley Dinkle. She is the trivia winner for our first question. And that trivia question was, what does the word Theotokos mean? And the correct answer there is God bearer. So good job, Shirley Dinkle. Thank you for listening. Wonderful lady. Great to have her in our community. Her and her husband are just great people. So we appreciate all your support and your prayers. I also want to thank an anonymous donor that gave $250, and Jackie Scola, who gave $100. And so through your guys' donations, those then get doubled. So that comes up to $700 in total donation right there, and helping to use some of that matching funds. So that means now we broke down under the 6,000 mark, but we still need to use up those funds, and we still need to get to our final goal of $125,000 by the end of our Care-a-thon. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Care-a-thon, Joy of the Gospel. So please join with Jackie and with our anonymous donor and help us to spread that joy through our area, through the radio waves, by calling 785-621-4110. I know there's always a lot of people out there that are driving along or wherever they're at listening. And I know, because I've been there before, where you're sitting and you're listening and you're like, oh, yeah, other people will do it. ask God if he's asking you to be that other person. You really, ask him, hey, is this something that I should donate to? And then when he tells you yes, call in with that donation. We had a really good thought earlier from Danetta Robin, and she said maybe a good thing to do if you can would be to donate $25 for every month as we come up on this new year of 2025. So 25 for 2025. Let's see if we can get some of those donations rolling in. We just got another anonymous pledge of $450. So that becomes a $900 pledge. Man, that is awesome. We're starting to get just pledges rolling in one after another. Let's keep that ball going. Let's not let it slow down at all. 785-621-4110. Call in with your pledge. All right, we're going to get back with Andrew Niewald. We're talking about, we're just now actually starting to get into what the 9th star in the crown of Our Lady Queen of Peace is. Andrew, you were talking to us about your Adoratio Foundation, how you got a hold of this other foundation. You started talking with one another. Now, why is it, you gave us a hint about geography. Why is it that they decided that this is where they want one of those beautiful Marian monstrances to be placed?
So, if you look at, of the 12 eventual shrines that they'll have, and they've already have named 10 of them. The Salina Diocese is the 9th, will be the 9th. They already have in place 7 of them. So 7 of the eventual 12 are already up and going. And each of those places, like they started in Bethlehem. That was the first one for, I think, obvious reasons, biblically and historically and Catholicism, why they would start it in Bethlehem. And then they went to places like Medjugorje and Rwanda, where the genocide happened back in the early 90s, of where the Virgin appeared there. So there was some theological significance to the geography of where they placed some of these. And then there were others, such as Kazakhstan, which seems really remote, but Kazakhstan was also a place that was heavily influenced, or everybody knows or maybe not everybody, but knows the history and the role that Kazakhstan played back in World War II when the Germans, deported about 60,000 Jews and Christians, Catholics, and displaced them into Kazakhstan and essentially left them to die there in the cold winter. So that was of human significance and obviously of theological significance. Because remember, this organization is called Our Lady Queen of Peace. So the whole idea behind this is to specifically praying for peace and adoration. So there's some geographic meaning behind some of their places, as well as some biblical places. So coming to America, the whole idea of the Salina Diocese being in the geographic center of the United States, in the heart of America, that had a lot of deeper meaning to them in Poland, of why they were very open to listening to the Salina Diocese communicate to them, because we were definitely not the only ones that had.
That is awesome to hear. I mean, I'm pretty jazzed about it, but I think Eucharistic adoration is an absolute amazing thing and a necessity just to keep spiritual life growing and flourishing within communities. And so I'm really excited about this shrine. I mean, maybe a couple things about it. When is the shrine going to be built?
So they just, just a couple months ago announced, formally invited the Salina Diocese to host this. So it's still the planning of this. We did not formally know. Bishop Vinke did not formally know until just a couple months ago, really.
Okay.
There had been, hints and suggestions, even a year ago, that they were really seriously considering it, making the Salina Diocese the place that but there was nothing formal until just, a couple months ago. So from there, I'm telling you that because it's still in the infancy planning processes. Okay. So it's still like, we just recently got, a chapel design, because we'll have to build a chapel that serves as a side adoration chapel, essentially, that can house this monstrance, this piece of art. And we know that there's going to be a lot of pilgrims that come here from it. The last one that they installed, which is in Niewald, Poland, they had 360,000 visitors come in the first year. 360,000. Now that's a lot.
That's
a lot of pilgrims. Right. So they've found these to be these pieces of art, these monstrances, and these shrines that they've built, very effective means of just attracting pilgrims. So with all that being said, is that we're kind of just still developing the idea of what will go on in it. So we know there's going to be a chapel. We want to have a Eucharistic museum and a retreat center that kind of flows from it, that can be doubled as kind of a Catholic institute where adult education can happen. Because the whole idea behind these shrines is not only just to have a place where people have a spiritual encounter, where they go and they pray in front of the Eucharist. Yes, that's great, because we want to, provide that spiritual encounter when visitors come. But we also want to catechize them and show them the centrality of why the Eucharist, needs to be, they need to have Eucharistic adoration in their own parishes. Because even what we found in the Synodiocese, when we did an adoration audit in our own diocese, or an assessment, of the 86 parishes that are in our diocese, about 39 of our parishes do not offer adoration at all. I mean, think of that. 39 parishes in our own diocese don't offer adoration at all. There's only 5 parishes that offer 24/7, and that's not meant in condemnation. That just shows the opportunity that's out there. Because look, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, adoration is the most effective, cheapest, form of evangelization, and most consistent form of evangelization that the church has at its means. So it's just this kind of awareness that, oh my gosh, like, do we want our RCA programs to grow? Yeah. But what do? Well, let's start adoration. It's like, it's the most effective form of evangelization that's there. When we did our own adoration campaign, I mean, I mentioned before, there was 131 people that signed up that had never had an adoration hour before. 131. And of those 131, there was 3 people that weren't even going to Mass. They were fallen away Catholics that said, you know what, I can sign up for an hour. Now, I still don't know today whether those people are going to Mass now, but they're going to adoration. And that's, you got to think, my goodness, it's just a matter of time before they start coming to Mass.
Yeah. I don't remember who it was. It may have been Father Mike Schmitz, or maybe it was local priest. I don't remember. But they were talking once about adoration, and about worrying about people getting to come or something like that. And they remember just kind of hearing a message from Christ, just saying, you don't have to worry about anything. Just put me out. Just put me on display. I'll take care of it. And so that kind of sticks in my mind as you're saying this, is that obviously you got to have the people there to do it, but you're right. When it comes to evangelization, there's nobody better to do it than Christ himself.
I just read a recent article from the Lincoln, Nebraska diocesan newspaper. The Lincoln Diocese, the regular register that they put out. And there was something like 18, they had 18 seminarians joining this year. It was something ridiculous. And every single one of the 18 said that adoration played a primary role in them discovering their faith, or discovering their vocation to the priesthood.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the cheapest, most effective form of evangelization.
Yeah, absolutely. We are on speaking with Andrew Niewald. We are talking about his Adoratio Foundation. We're talking about the 9th star in the crown of Our Lady, Queen of Peace, and what that is, what this shrine may look like, and things like that. We're going to get right back to it right after I read our second question of this 12 o'clock hour. So our question here, I'm going to read it, and then you call into 785-621-4110. If you get it right, we're going to put you in that drawing later today for that $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. All right, here we go. When was Mary taken up to heaven? Wait, let me reread this. Sorry. When Mary was taken up into heaven, it was called blank. Is it A, the Assumption, B, the Ascension, C, the procural of Mary, or D, the raising of Mary? When Mary was taken up into heaven, it was called A, the Assumption, B, the Ascension, C, the procural of Mary, or D, the raising of Mary. 785-621-4110. Let's also get some of those pledges going. As I was saying earlier, if you're listening and you have never given before, please consider giving. There's a lot of times when we sit back and we listen and we think that other people will take care of it. But I'm asking you right now to be one of those other people. Don't sit on your hands anymore. Get that phone out. You probably, maybe some of you are listening and playing video games on your phone anyway. Just make the phone call, 785-621-4110. Make a pledge and help us to keep speaking about the joy of the gospel. That's what we do every day here on Divine Mercy Radio. Is we have quality programming from EWTN. We've got several of our own public or our own produced shows right here in the studio. And we do all that because we're able to get the truth of Christ and his gospel out to as many people as we can. If you're driving along and you're hearing this, pull on over, give us a call, 785-621-4110. All right, Andrew, we're going to get right back to you and speak a little bit more than about this shrine that is going to be coming. I know you said it's still in its infancy, but one of the really cool things I heard you say was, this isn't not that it would be bad if it was just like a grotto type of thing. That would be a good thing. But you're talking like it may be a whole lot more than that, correct?
Yeah. I mentioned just, a Eucharistic museum, a retreat house / institute is what we hope to do as well.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then,
and the purpose of that again is just to have a spiritual encounter, yes, but then also catechize, on biblical levels of just like, so that people can have an intellectual and a heart experience, if you will, so to speak, when they come to visit the shrine.
Yeah, that is awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. That's exactly what we need. Now, when they come to this shrine, backing up just a little bit, we being the geographical center of the United States, and the actual center is pretty close to you guys, right?
Yeah, it's in Lebanon. It's just 40 miles from us. Yeah.
Okay, and so the shrine is the shrine planned to be just right outside of Beloit, or where will it be at?
Yeah, we haven't finally determined that. We've actually acquired some land immediately adjacent to St. John the Baptist Church here in Beloit. So we're preparing to do it just right next to our church.
Oh, wow.
And the idea behind that is that, I don't know if you've ever been to the church in Beloit, but they just renovated and it's just spectacular. And so the thought of if people want to come here, they're probably going to want to partake in Mass, daily Mass, or just to even view the church itself.
And to come see the awesome first-class relics that you guys now have.
Yeah, we have 3 first-class. Yeah. Padre Pio relic, Mother Teresa, and St. John Paul II as well. 3 first-class relics. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that would be, when we're talking about families taking vacations and stuff like that, a lot of times you want to go see these different places that have these different Catholic heritage. And so what's really cool is, this is our own backyard. And you guys are really at the cusp of making it an awesome a Catholic destination place, so that, I could even on an afternoon bring my family over there. Like you said, we could go to Mass, go to adoration at the shrine, go and see the first-class relics, and just make it a little family trip. And so that's wonderful that you guys are doing this.
Yeah. And see the thing, and again, I can't overstate the idea behind a shrine itself too, because if you look at I went through some of the stats within the Salina diocese, about, we said 39 parishes don't have adoration right now. If you extend that to the country altogether, of the 18,000 plus or minus churches, Catholic parishes that are in the United States, roughly 53%, set on that number, 53% of Catholic parishes in the United States don't offer adoration at all. And only about 800 parishes, which equates to about 4%, offer 24/7. So you can just see that the need is definitely there. And that's the whole idea behind the shrine, is to inspire them to go home and let's help you grow adoration in your own parish.
Yeah, that would be an awesome fruit that would come from that. I'm going to break in here quickly to congratulate Connie Kuhn. She is our trivia winner. The question was, when Mary was taken up into heaven, it was called. The correct answer is the Assumption. So congratulations on getting that. And also, I want to thank an anonymous donor who gave $500. And so that gets us another chunk closer to our goal and uses up some more of those matching funds, because that becomes a $1,000 donation. Thank you so very much to that anonymous donor. Thank you very, very, very much. Please join with them and with myself in supporting this station and what we do. Call 785-621-4110. Let's see if we can get a couple more donors this hour, maybe a $100 donor and a $250 donor. I know you're out there. Call in, partner with us. Don't sit on the phone any longer wondering if it is you. If you're hearing my voice, call in 785-621-4110 and be part of the mission of spreading the joy of the gospel. And what a joyful topic we're talking about right now with Andrew Niewald. We're discussing this shrine that's in its infancy with the 9th star in the crown of Our Lady, Queen of Peace. So, Andrew, as we are talking about that, first off, you said that there's going to be 12 of them at some point, but what is the significance of the number 12 with regard to the crown of Our Lady anyway?
Yeah, so biblically, it's based off Revelations chapter 12, verse 1. And that, I'll just say it. It's a woman clothed with the sun, a moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. So again, it's Marian in its devotion and nature and even philosophy, that the role that she played as being the first monstrance to Jesus through Mary, right? So that's the significance of the 12.
Okay, fantastic. So you gave us a little bit of descriptions on some of the other locations, whether it was a war-torn area or other things like that. Are there other significant ones that you'd like us to know about?
No, I think just they were, all of the locations have the common, the theme of to be centers of what I explained.
Okay.
Of places that inspire adoration and an encounter with the head and heart immersion, so to speak. That's what their aim is to do. Yes.
Okay. So maybe you can give us a teaser, maybe maybe you don't. You said that we're the 9th one. Do we know anything about the other 3?
Yes. So the 10th one they're going to actually put in Papua New Guinea. And if a listener was to want to research in depth why they chose each of these, it's on our website, which is www.starsofpeace.org. That's starsofpeace.org. And the website kind of goes through kind of the methodology of why they selected them. But on that website, you'll see that it has a map that shows where each of them is located geographically. And you'll see that there's 2 others not in Central or South America. So I think their aim is to put one in Central America and then South America as well. But the one in the Salina Diocese is going to be the only one in North America.
Okay. Wow, that is fantastic. So with your organization then, you said that this is has it already taken off? It sounded like you're saying that you're going to start working with our diocese and maybe with others starting next year. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. On the board of the shrine, again, it's still being developed, but of course, Bishop Vinke is going to be on the shrine board. And then he also got Bishop James Conley of the Lincoln, Nebraska. And of course, the name that we'll all be familiar with is Archbishop Paul Coakley.
Oh yeah.
Those three bishops have already agreed to be on this board. So that's exciting, but it's also a little bit of, I don't know, Catholic clout, if you will, of just to put some muscle behind this whole movement of hopefully increasing adoration across the country. So yeah, I would say the momentum is definitely building. And when the shrine will be built, I think that's to be determined mostly on, I mean, of course, it has to be determined on just, I mean, we're ready to go with it, essentially, meaning we've required the land, but obviously there's a substantial amount of money that still has to be raised.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's going to just be a work in process.
Okay. No, so this foundation that you're in communication with, do they have anything to do with helping to build the shrine, or do they just give you permission and then all the fundraising and everything else is then up to our diocese?
Yeah, so they are a complete spiritual effort. The Poland organization that is doing this is a complete volunteers spiritual effort. These guys, it's right. It's a labor of love, and so it will be here too. So to raise the funds for this, it'll be our foundation, Adoratio, that's going to seek to start a diocesan and incorporate a national campaign where we're going to go far and wide to try to raise money for this. But no, they do not help us anything financially. $0 coming from Poland.
Okay. So then, yeah, everything will be on you guys, and that's amazing that you are undertaking that. But also really amazing that the board will, like you said, have those heavy hitters, which is fantastic. Now, I do want to maybe back up just a little bit here, because just talking about adoration and if Christ wants this to happen, it's gonna happen. I'm sure you've spent time in front of Jesus himself, especially praying about these things. But are there any stories or anything you'd like to share with us about your own time in front of adoration that just kind of helps us to be strengthened in our own faith also?
Yeah, with I guess I could just speak personally about this, and maybe to anybody listener who can relate. Obviously, the Mass is everything. The Catholic Mass, the liturgy of the Mass is everything in Catholicism. And the source and the summit of the Mass is obviously the liturgy of the Eucharist. And the Church understands this. I guess I just think of it as Eucharistic adoration is an extension of the same Mass. So it's not like Eucharistic adoration needs to replace the Mass. No, it's an extension of the Mass. It's almost like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's the fifth quarter, it's the overtime to a basketball game, you know.
Oh yeah.
But what's so unique about adoration is that I guess I can just speak on a personal level is that I would argue that you can sit through an hour of Mass somewhat distracted sometimes. Whether
Yeah.
it's distracted by your kids or distracted by your neighbor or the person behind you in front of you, whatever. But when you go to adoration and you're there for a full hour, usually it's just you or you and a couple other people, you're forced to look at that monstrance and that host there and wrestle with the host. And you have to say, do I believe this? Because if it's him, if it's our Lord, what we claim to be and all of Christianity has claimed for the last 2,000 years, man, that's a game changer. So adoration encourages you or forces you to wrestle with the true presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. So I guess I'm just trying to share that my experience of the Mass has become more appreciated and more focused and more pure worship the more I've participated in Eucharistic adoration.
Yeah, I agree with you completely, because I'm also going to say, those people that get up at like 2 a.m, you don't get up to sit in front of a piece of bread. Like we wouldn't even do that in our own house. We wouldn't get up in the middle of the night and be like, you know what? I think I'm going to sit here for the next hour. I'm trying to stay awake and contemplating this piece of bread. That would be amazing. It just doesn't happen.
So
I don't care how much coffee you have in your veins. You're going to sit there for the first time and be like, what the heck am I doing? But if you get up for...
especially this...
Go ahead.
No, I say especially this time of year when it's kind of cold and you're a little bit grumpy, and you're kind of sleepy.
Yeah.
And, you go there and you sit there, and of course, sometimes I fight myself, sleep sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So I all of us probably do. We're still completely human. But again, the point is, and not that every adoration hour is climactic moment of, a mountaintop experience for me, but yet again, the regular, consistent consistency that signing up for a Eucharistic hour of adoration once a week does, again, over time, to me, it's just like Michelangelo working on a piece of marble. Little by little, he just chisels away at you a little bit,
Uh-huh. Yep. And hey, Andrew, are you married?
Yeah, as of last night and this morning I was, yes.
No, wait, last night? You got married last night?
No, I mean, last I checked, I was still married. Yes.
I was going to say, you're older than that. I was like, I thought you were married. All right. So, no, I asked.
I've been married for 18 years. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, like, I thought I knew you. So the reason why I ask is because, you probably know over the last 18 years that sometimes you have to make an appointment to go on a date with your wife. Yes or no?
Oh, great analogy. I love it. Yes. Go. Keep talking.
Okay. Well, because I am the same way. There's always these beautiful thoughts. And I talk to my wife sometimes. I'm like, we need to go on a date. But it doesn't happen if you don't set the date. You're like, especially with kids and stuff, you got them running around. Everybody's busy. And so if you don't set the date, it won't happen. And so that's why I think also, like for adoration, whether you have a specific time every single week or not, to simply say, okay, this week I am putting on my calendar that at 9:00 on Friday night, I'm going to visit Jesus. I think that's a huge help also is don't just leave it in the back of your mind like, oh yeah, that's a great thing to do. I'm going to go do that sometime. Don't leave it as a sometime. Does that make sense?
It's so true.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. And there's something that happens to you mentally when you say, okay, I'm committing to this. Every Friday morning at 3 a.m. or whatever you do, when you sign up for that, it's like a marriage proposal. It does something to you. We're like, I'm going to start making concrete steps to growing my spiritual life instead of just all these, philosophical, I need to grow in my faith, or I need to do this, and then you go 30 years of saying that and you never do something concrete. Adoration forces you to be concrete.
Yeah. And even if you are just, I don't remember who I heard say it, but even if you are just wasting time with Jesus, right? That is perfectly fine. Go waste time with Jesus. We waste time on all kinds of stupid things. Why not waste time on something good, like the best thing we could be doing? So that is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, go ahead.
And then what you see to that, I think if a listener is, considering that, I've never done it before, just do it. The amount of peace that results from this when you bring things to our Lord, it's just a natural consequence that's going to happen. Tell somebody, okay, go to adoration for a month straight and tell me that you're not in a better place internally with the peace in your relationships than you were prior to that. It's just, again, it's that regular, consistent, and concrete spiritual step.
Yeah. I also heard somebody once say, like, if you want cancer, you would sit in front of radiation, and you would soak it up. If you want Jesus, sit in front of him and you'll soak him up.
Yeah, I love it.
So
yeah, such a great example.
So anyway, Andrew, we thank you so very much for your time. We've got just a few minutes left here. So if there's anything that you want to leave us with, and then also maybe remind everybody of how to get a hold of your foundation if they want just information on adoration, or if they want to help with the shrine or anything like that.
Yeah, so I guess, primarily, our primary movement is to, for sure, the end game for us is to see, all 18,000 parishes in the United States have adoration. That's our goal. So, and then their next thing is like, if a listener's out there and is saying, we don't have adoration, or we want to grow it, right? We want it to become a primary apostolate of our church, call us, and they can, again, starsofpeace.org is where they can find our contact information. Or if they forget about that, just call the Catholic Church in Beloit, and they can give you our number, how to get a hold of us, the Catholic Church in Beloit. As far as how can it specifically with the shrine, I mean, number one, I guess I would definitely ask for prayers. But yeah, of course, if somebody sees on a financial level the uniquely effectiveness of how this shrine will operate and benefit the Synodiocese overall, and not just the Synodiocese, ultimately the country, because I think, I mean, the world is a lot bigger than the Catholic world is a lot bigger than the Synodiocese even. Like, come talk to us. Yeah, I can show you how to help, or how you can financially help too. So, love to talk. So that's my message.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so very much, Andrew. We really appreciate it, and I appreciate your time with us today.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having us, and look forward to talking more and giving updates on how this spiritual campaign in the Synodiocese carries forward, and its effectiveness.
Sounds great. Have a wonderful day, sir.
All right. Thanks for talking. God bless everybody.
Thank you. Bye. You are listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Care-a-thon, Joy of the Gospel. I want to thank Paula Becker, who is a parishioner of Father Worth's, and he was just in here not too long ago, and she gave $100, and through our matching funds, that becomes a $200 donation. So thank you so very much, Paula Becker, for that $100 donation. If you're like Paula and you want to join with us, it's very easy, 785-621-4110, and you can call in and donate, or you can also even make it even easier if you want, and just go right on our website of dvmercy.com, and you can donate right there. If you go to that, at the end of every day, we try to update our thermometer that shows you how close we're getting to our goal. And we'll try to get you some of those numbers later. Earlier, as we started at the noon hour, we had $7,485 of matching funds. I know that we've used up, I think, a couple $1,000s of that. And so we are we're on our way then to getting through those matching funds, but we still haven't made it yet. And we're still looking to get to that final goal of $125,000. So please help us with that. Now, what does that go to? Well, obviously, we have lights. We've got equipment in the studio, but outside of the studio, we also have towers. And with having 5 different stations, tower rent, and even the towers that we own on our own, they're not cheap. And also we do have a couple of employees that we like to pay them. It does help if you pay your employees. That's just kind of the right thing to do, the just thing to do. They're great people. I want to thank Nathan and Michael for the work that they do, everything that they do behind the scenes to help make sure that this radio station is running as it should. And as we're on that, if you ever have any questions, concerns, or anything, please log on to our website, call in, come up here and talk to us. Right now, if you come up and visit us, there are these 88.1 cookies. These, actually, I think they've got all the different call numbers on them. So whether you're in Hayes, Great Bend, Colby, Lindsborg, and Salina. I think there's some with the different call numbers on them. You can come up, get a delicious cookie, come visit us. We actually love having visitors, especially during the Care-a-thon. Come say hi to us, visit, tell us the things that you like, what you want to hear more of. Tell us if you appreciate our local programming and things like that. And the way that we do that is through those donations. So keep those donations coming. 785-621-4110. You are listening to 101.7 KJDM Lindsborg and Salina, 105.7 KMDG Hayes, 88.1 KRTT Great Bend, 88.1 KVDM Hayes, and 89.1 KGOH Colby. We are on our Joy of the Gospel Care-a-thon for Divine Mercy Radio in the fall season here. You know, I don't necessarily like the cold, but I like doing this. I love when you donors call in. It really gets me going, and it really helps me to be able to speak with these people that we have coming in and visiting with us so that they can talk about the truth of Christ.